My name is Brooke, and I'm 25 years old. It was my birthday. One of those evenings that looks perfect from the outside, but feels rotten the moment you step inside. A small family gathering in my parents' dining room. Warm light, polished glasses, polite smiles that somehow never reached anyone's eyes. I remember adjusting my dress and accepting the first hugs, feeling a tightness in my chest that I should have trusted. That feeling was warning me that this night wasn't about celebrating me. My sister arrived late, as usual, confident, loud, carrying herself like the room already belonged to her. Her hug was brief, almost formal. Her perfume was sharp and familiar, her smile thin and controlled. Dinner began politely. Plates clinked. Forced laughter echoed off the walls. I tried to stay grateful, telling myself that this was still family, that birthdays were complicated, that I was probably just too sensitive. I poured myself a glass of wine and listened as my parents talked about work, neighbors, anything except me. Then my sister cleared her throat. The table went silent in that heavy way that means something sharp is about to land. She looked directly at me. Not with anger, but with a cold, rehearsed precision. "We're ashamed that you use our last name," she said. The words hit me like a slap. For a moment, I thought I'd misheard. Maybe my brain was protecting me. But then I saw my mother nod slowly, lips pressed together, as if these words were perfectly reasonable, as if shame was a family value we were all meant to share. My father didn't speak, but he looked at my sister with pride, the same proud look he reserved for her when she won awards or spoke up in meetings. And that hurt more than anything she could have said. It told me this wasn't a mistake. It was a verdict they had already agreed upon. I sat quietly, holding my wine, feeling the stem slick under my fingers, my heart pounding so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it. I stared at the tablecloth, because if I looked up, I might cry, and I refused to give them that. I thought about all the years I had carried that last name. All the times I had defended it, tried to make it mean something good. Suddenly, it felt like a costume they were ripping off me in front of everyone. My sister went on, in that calm, superior tone, explaining how my choices reflected badly on the family, how appearances mattered, and every word felt like a deliberate cut. I wanted to argue. I wanted to ask, when did love come with conditions? When did a name become something you earned by obedience? But my throat closed, and all that came out was silence. The room felt smaller. The walls seemed to be listening. The candles flickered nervously. I became acutely aware of how alone I was at my own birthday table. Then I noticed my grandmother at the far end, quiet until now. Her hands were folded. Her eyes were fixed on my sister in a way that made me pause, a stillness that wasn't weakness, but patience earned over decades. She slowly pushed her chair back. The legs scraped softly against the floor, slicing through the tension like a blade. Nobody told her to sit. Nobody dared interrupt. She straightened, steady despite her age, and I realized that whatever she was about to say carried weight the rest of us couldn't fake. She looked at me first. Really looked at me. In her eyes, I felt something I hadn't all evening. Recognition. Then she turned to my sister. Calm, firm, she said only 2 words. Sit down. 2 words, and the effect was immediate. My sister froze. Her confident posture collapsed as she slowly lowered herself back into her chair. Her face drained of color. The silence afterward was thick enough to press against my ears. But my grandmother didn't sit. She stayed standing, hands on the table, eyes sharp. Then she spoke again, and every sentence landed exactly where it needed to. She said she had watched this family for decades, seen pride turn into cruelty and standards into weapons. She said she was tired of seeing love handed out as a reward instead of given freely. She asked my parents when they decided that appearances mattered more than their own child. Mom opened her mouth to respond, but no sound came. Her earlier nod now looked small and ashamed instead of righteous. Dad tried to defend himself, saying he only wanted what was best for the family name. Grandma smiled sadly. The family name means nothing if it's used to crush the people who carry it. Something shifted inside me. For the first time that night, someone spoke aloud what I had felt for years but never dared to say. She turned to me and reminded everyone how I had helped her after my grandfather died. How I had shown up when no one else had time. How I carried groceries, listened to stories, fixed small things without asking for praise. Each example made my sister sink lower in her chair, because it contradicted the story she was selling. My parents looked stunned, as if seeing me for the first time. I wondered how invisible I had been if it took this moment to notice me. Grandma finished. If anyone should feel ashamed, it wasn't the daughter who lived honestly, it was the people trying to rewrite her worth to protect their own egos. Then she finally sat. The room exhaled. No one spoke for a few seconds. My sister laughed nervously, trying to brush it off, but the laugh died quickly. No one joined in. I sipped my wine, hands steady, realizing I wasn't shaking anymore. Something important had happened. The power had shifted. Mom quietly apologized. No excuses. Dad stared at his plate, pride wounded in a way that couldn't be patched. For the first time, I didn't rush to make them feel better. I let the discomfort sit. It wasn't mine to fix. The rest of the evening unfolded awkwardly. Forced conversations. Cake eaten without enthusiasm. When it was time to leave, my sister avoided my eyes entirely. Her earlier confidence was gone. Grandma hugged me last, longer than anyone else, and whispered that a name doesn't make a person, but a person can redefine a name. I carried those words into the cool night air, feeling lighter than I had in years. That birthday didn't magically fix my family, nor did it change my sister overnight. But it did something more important. It reminded me I don't need anyone's permission to belong to myself or my own story. The shame they tried to hand me was never really mine.